ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। विघ्न विनायक मूर्ति की जय. Share my screen and we will go through the Dhyana Shloka. You should be able to see the screen now. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranadosmyaham. Om Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Over to you, Ganeshji, for today's session.
Thank you, Natarajji. Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Pranams to the Lord. Pranams to all the Satsangis. Hari Om. We have completed 55 verses in our study of the condensed version of the text, Viveka Chudamani. And we have been seeing the teacher answering, the 7 questions which the disciple has asked. Now, the Acharya now answers the last question. How do you distinguish between Atma and Anatma? Now, to do this, I have to carry out Vichara. Vichara means discriminative inquiry into the nature of both Atma and Anatma. And this inquiry begins with Panchakosha Viveka, the inquiry into the 5 layers of personality. And what are those 5 layers? Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. Now, each layer is called a kosha because it seemingly covers the Atma. I erroneously believe that each kosha is I, Atma. And this error has to be removed. Hence, the Acharya takes up each kosha, explains the nature and the function, and explains why the layer cannot be Atma. So after seeing, Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha earlier, in our last session, we saw Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. And let us do a recap of this. So what are the features of this Manomaya Kosha? Manomaya kosha consists of Pancha Jnanendriyas, the five organs of perception, and Manas, the mind. And Manomaya is the cause of division of all the objects in the world into two, I and mine. And it is endowed with the capability of differentiating names, forms, etc. And it is Baliyan, means very powerful. And this Manomaya pervades the Pranamaya kosha. And Manomaya cannot be Atma for reasons that the Acharya gave. Manomaya has got certain features which are very different from the nature of Atma. What are those? Manomaya has got a beginning and an end. It is subject to changes. It has sorrow as its very nature. And the mind is the one that is experienced. On the other hand, Atma is the experiencer. And therefore, the two cannot be identical. Okay. In this way, the Acharya explains why Manomaya cannot be Atma. Next is Vijnanamaya Kosha. So Vijnanamaya Kosha consists again of Pancha Jnanendriyas, the five organs of perception, and here it is Buddhi. Buddhi with its thought modifications, intellect. And this Kosha, this Vijnanamaya Kosha is sentient and it is of the nature of the doer. And therefore, it is the cause of samsara for the jiva. Now, it has the power. The Vijnanamaya Kosha has that power of illumining. How? Due to the reflected consciousness that pervades it. And it is a modified form of Prakriti having the function of knowledge and action. And it always identifies totally with the body and sense organs as I, Ahankara. So it is Ahankara. Vijnanamaya is also Anadi. It has no beginning. And it has all the vasanas, the impressions of the karmas of all the previous births. And it performs karma and experiences the results of that karma in various bodies, in various lokas, to various janmas. And Vijnanamaya has three states of experience. What are the three states? Waking, dream, and deep sleep state. So this is Vijnanamaya. So in this manner, the author describes this kosha and he gives a number of reasons why Atma cannot be Vijnanamaya. That we will see now. Verse 56. Ato nayam paratma syat Vijnanamaya shabda bhak Vikaritva jadatvacha Parichinnatva hetutaha Drishyatvat vyabhicharitvat Nanityo nitya ishyate. So, Ayam Vijnanamaya Shabdabhag. Shabdabhag means name. So, this one with the name Vijnanamaya, Paratma Nasyat, cannot be Paratma. Parat means Paramatma. It cannot be Paramatma. Why? Because now the Acharya gives a number of reasons why Paramatma cannot be Vijnanamaya. The first reason, Vikaritvat, subject to changes. So Vijnanamaya is a layer, which is the intellectual personality, having ahankara, the I sense. We saw that. And it undergoes changes all the time. Because being ahankara, now it is a seer, for example. Now it is a seer. Soon it is a hearer. One who hears. Then a little later what happens? Thinker. Then a doer. And then later an enjoyer as well. So it is vikari, changing all the time. Ahankara. So I am aware of all these changes. I am aware. Now, being aware of the changes, I cannot be this Vijnanamaya. I am the changeless, aware of the changes in Vijnanamaya. Now, how do you explain this? So let us, once again look at that same example of the train, which you saw in the last session. Example, I am sitting on a train, standing stationary in a platform. On the track alongside, a train comes, halts and departs, and another one comes, halts and departs. One after the other, the train comes, arrive and depart. And I am able to observe all the changes that is taking place outside in those trains which are arriving and departing. Now, if the train, my train, also is moving along with the train alongside, what happens? I will not be able to see changes in the position of any train or that train. So being stationary, being, without any changes, I am able to observe the changes of the position on all the other trains. So in much the same way, I am able to observe the changes in Vijnanamaya because I am the changeless observer of the changing Vijnanamaya. I am the changeless one. I am the changeless Atma. So I am not Vijnanamaya. Okay, second reason. Jadatvat. Jadatvat. Jadatvat means inert. Jada. So that we mean that Vijnanamaya is not self-effulgent. It has no sentiency of its own. It is only sentient because it has borrowed consciousness from Atma using the power that it has got. But by itself, it is Jada, inert. And this, Ahankara Vijnanamaya is Jada, born out of the Sattva Guna of the five subtle elements. We know that. So we know that Atma is self-effulgent by nature. That we know. Its very nature, the Atma's very nature is consciousness. So I cannot be, Vijnanamaya. I am that self-effulgent Atma, not the inert Vijnanamaya. Okay. Third reason, Parichinnatva Hetu Taha Cha. And Cha, by the reason of it being Parichinna, limited. So because Vijnanamaya is confined in the physical body, no, it is limited in terms of space. Whereas Atma, limitless. Nature of limitless of Atma is supported by logic as well as by the Shastra. Because Shastra point out, Atma is limitless. So Vijnanamaya being limited cannot be that limitless Atma. Fourth reason, Drishyatvat. Drishyatvat because Vijnanamaya is seen as an object of perception, object of experience. See, all my intellectual features, they're all objects of my experience. They're all known to me, known by me. Therefore, they are all objects where I am the awarer of my knowledge. See, I am aware of my ignorance, I am aware of my knowledge, I am aware of my doubt, my confusion. All these are states of mind which I am aware of. All that is taking place in the intellect, I am aware of that. Hence, all those states of mind in the intellect are not myself. Therefore, I am not that Vijnanamaya. Okay, fifth, Vyabhicharitvat. Vyabhichari means not consistently present. Not consistently present. So the intellectual personality is very much present during only the two states, waking state and dream state. What happens during deep sleep? Vijnanamaya disappears. Because the I notion drops. In that state, I cannot even say, I am sleeping. I can't say that. Because Ahankara is resolved. Resolved means as good as non-existent in the deep sleep state. But what about consciousness? Consciousness is consistently present all through the three states. Because it illumines Ahankara. It illumines the absence of Ahankara in deep sleep as well. That is why upon waking up, I am able to say, I did not know anything during deep sleep. So being Vyabhichari, changing all the time, this Vijnanamaya cannot be Atma. Moreover, Anityaha Nityaha na Ishyate. The time bound cannot be regarded as timeless. whatever is bound by time, you cannot say it's timeless. Now, what is it? This Vijnanamaya, this which is nothing but the Sukshma Shariram, is available only during the current Srishti. Because what happens at the Pralayam? Pralayam, the Sukshma Shariram, including Vijnanamaya, they end. So it is time bound. What about Atma? Atma is Nitya, without an end, not bound by time. All through Pralayam, all through Srishti. Hence, the time bound Vijnanamaya cannot be Atma, which is not limited by time. Okay. So in this manner, the Acharya gives a number of reasons why Vijnanamaya cannot be Atma. So now we have analyzed the 4 layers of personality. First, we analyzed the Annamaya or physical personality. Then we saw Pranamaya, the energy personality. And thirdly, the Manomaya, the emotional personality. And fourthly, today we completed Vijnanamaya, the intellectual personality. And for each of these layers, the Acharya explained why Atma cannot be that layer. All these layers are Anatma. Now we come to the final layer, which is Anandamaya. Verse 57. Ananda pratibimba chumbita tanuhu vrittistamo jrumbita Syadanandamaya pridadi gunakaha Sveshtartalabodayaha Punyasyanubhave vibhati kritinam Anandarupasvayam Bhutvanandati yatra sadhu tanubrin matra prayatnam vina. So this verse and the next describes the nature and function of Anandamaya. Now to understand this, we should have some background information about Ananda as explained in Vedanta. So let's see it before we go into the verse. Ananda. Ananda means what? Happiness. Happiness is something that we experience. So generally we call happiness as that experienced happiness, which is experienced as feeling, as emotion. Therefore, happiness is associated with the mind, because mind is associated with all the feelings and emotions. So when the mind becomes happy, where does this happiness come into the mind? Or is it always in the mind? Does the mind produce happiness? Or does happiness come from somewhere else? So normally, we attribute the sense objects as the source of happiness, because that is what our experience is. When I contact varieties of sense objects, which I like, I get that happiness, I get joy. So what are those objects? It may be, delicious food, soothing music, beautiful scenery, okay. Or it may be somebody whom I'm having a very good conversation with. So generally we believe that, external world of sense objects is our source of happiness. In short, we consider Anatma to be the source of happiness. However, Vedanta differs from this idea. The Vedanta Pramanam says there is only one source of happiness, only one, in the entire creation. And that only source of happiness is Brahman, also called Atma, which is one, which is eternal, and which is all-pervading. Ananda is the very nature of Atma. This Ananda, what we call as Swarupa Ananda, is different from experiential Ananda. So this Ananda is not bliss. Bliss is a condition of mind. It's a feeling, emotion. Swarupa Ananda is not vritti, but if we take that sentence in Vedanta, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, there, Ananta is there. Ananta stands for Ananda. What is Ananta? Ananta means free from any limitation, space or time. That is the nature of Atma. Ananta wholeness, fullness. And this is the source of happiness, experiential happiness of bliss. This is the source. On the other hand, anatma is not the source of happiness. Okay. No sense objects can produce happiness. Upanishad says happiness comes into the mind from the Atma. We have seen earlier, that mind borrows consciousness from Atma. We have seen that. Now we have to know that mind also borrows happiness from Atma, that Ananda. However, mind does not, constantly borrow happiness from Atma. It happens only, now and then, occasions, conducive situation. During that, happiness pervades and gets reflected in the mind, and that reflected happiness is called pratibimba ananda, pratibimba, reflection. See, we saw previously pratibimba chaitanyam, consciousness. Now we see pratibimba ananda, reflected ananda. That's when the mind becomes happy, occasionally happy. Now, what about the sense objects? Because how come I get happiness when I contact my dear and near ones? How is that? Vedanta says external objects do not give happiness to the mind. External objects make the mind calm, conducive for reflecting ananda. When my mind becomes calm, my mind reflects the ananda of Atma. So we can compare, this mind to a mirror. When the mirror reflects my face, I can see the pratibimba, the reflection of my face in the mirror. My face is the bimba, reflection is the pratibimba. In a like manner, mind reflects Atma. So the mind reflects Ananda. So the pratibimba Ananda, the reflected Ananda, is experienced by me in the form of happiness. Now, a clean mirror gives a true reflection of my face. Cleaner the mirror, better the reflection. Yeah. Similarly, calmer the mind, greater will be my experience of Ananda. So when the mind is very active, when Rajoguna causes mental feverishness, no Ananda is possible. Ananda is only possible when mind is resolved. That's Ananda is possible when it's resolved. And under certain condition, during deep sleep, mind is resolved and we experience happiness. Waking and the dream state, what happens? Happiness is experienced when certain conditions arise. That we will see when we go through the following verses. Let us see this verse now. Anandamaya vrittihi tamo jrumbita. So Anandamaya, this Anandamaya kosha is vritti tamo jrumbita. Tamo jrumbita means born out of tamas, tamaha. Tama means that mula avidya, that avidya, karana shariram. Tamas is here, karana shariram. So, vrittihi tamo jrumbita. Vrittihi means the condition of the mind. Condition. So, anandamaya vrittihi tamo jrumbita means that anandamaya is a vritti. It's a mental condition born out of karana shariram. It is a vritti vishesha, a very specific mental disposition. That is what Anandamaya is. So what is the nature of this vritti vishesha? Mental condition. Ananda pratibimba chumbita tanuhu. That's what it says. Chumbita. What is chumbita? Kissed. Here we can take it as mean associated, joint. Chumbita. Associated with what? Ananda pratibimba, the reflected Ananda. So Ananda pratibimba chumbita tanu means whose form is pervaded by the reflected Ananda. Whose form? That vritti, that specific vritti which is called Anandamaya. So Anandamaya is the particular vritti which is pervaded by reflected Ananda. It has to be that. It has to reflect that Ananda. So how does this then karana sharira vritti arise? How did that mental condition happen? How does it come? Swa ishtartha labodaya. It arises with the gain of ishtartha. What is ishtartha? Ishtartha means something desired. Ishta. Desired object, desired situation, desired status, desired relationship. So when I obtain, these, any one of these or all, I get the mental disposition of karana sharira. Therefore, this disposition of the mind is obtained by, an external favorable condition. And that disposition of the mind, that vritti vishesha, as we called it, is anandamaya. This is what anandamaya is. And this anandamaya is priyadi gunakaha, possessing attributes like priya adi, priya, etc. See, guna means attribute. So, and priya adi, what is this? Adi means etc. Priya, etc. That refers to two other attributes, priya and moda and pramoda. Only priya is mentioned here, but we know that there are three. How we saw them that in Tattva Bodha. Priya, moda, pramoda. And each of these is a vritti vishesha, a particular state of mind. So each produces a different degree of happiness. Okay. So when you see an object of desire, there is priya vritti. And when you gain that object of desire, when you almost possess or really possess it, then this moda vritti, higher level of happiness. And finally, when you actually experience that object, the vritti that arises in the mind is pramoda, means still higher level of happiness, the highest. Okay, take it that way. So, what is it? Seeing, then gaining, and then experiencing all different levels of happiness. So, what does it say here? Putting this together, possessing the attributes like priya, etc., the anandamaya rises with seeing, gaining, experiencing the ishtartha, the desired object. And it also arises when another situation. What is this? Kriti nam, for those who have done good deeds. For those people, punyasya anubhave vibhati. It shines at the time of experiencing punya, favorable karma, punya. It shines at that time. This Anandamaya Kosha shines when experiencing, when punya is risen. So the punya can be what? Either prarabdha karma or it can be agami karma. And it is the result of all the good deeds that you have done, that I have done. Okay, effort, all that I have put, good effort, good deeds. They are fructified. I'm getting favorable conditions. And these conditions generate a certain vritti, which is a reflection of Atmananda. Now, when this vritti is produced, what happens? At which time? Yatra tanubrin matraha, tanubrit. So, everybody who has a body, means who? Every jiva, we saw that, who has done good deeds and acquired punyam, we're talking about that. Sadhu nandati, rejoices well. Rejoices. Prayatnam vina. Prayatna, no effort, without effort. So, at which time everybody who has got a body rejoices well without effort. So, that is the rejoicing. So, when does that happen? For example, see, you get a certain kind of joy when you observe the beauty of, say, rain falling on, trees, plants. In that situation, you get joy without any effort. Okay. Punyam is required to produce the priyadi vritti. No specific effort is required to generate happiness here. And why? Ananda rupaha swayam bhutva. Becoming that very ananda itself. So experiencing Anandamaya Kosha is happiness is becoming one with it. What does this mean? When Punya arises, Anandamaya shines due to a certain vritti. It shines well because Ahankara is temporarily resolved. That is the situation. There is no effort involved at all because the willpower is temporarily, totally suspended. Suspended. The subject object duality itself is temporarily resolved at that moment. In those moments, what happens? The jiva becomes that very ananda itself. So ananda rupaha bhutva means becoming one with that reflected happiness, that reflected ananda, you become one with it. The jiva is soaked in happiness. That comes from in this situation, the time of punyam arising in you. So swayam bhutva nandati, nandati, rejoicing. The jiva enjoys that ananda, and that is anandamaya kosha. Because in that situation, I am in anandamaya kosha. No, whether I am a jnani or ajnani, doesn't matter. But there's a difference, jnani and ajnani. When jnani experiences it, now when ajnani experiences it, he attributes the happiness to all the sense objects. Whereas jnani may enjoy the same thing, but he never attributes happiness only to the sense object. He will say, my happiness is because of my original nature getting reflected in Anandamaya Kosha. Original nature, Ananda. Therefore, what happens? When the happiness, the object which gives happiness goes away, all maybe nice music gone, delicious food gone, maybe gone. An ajnani will feel bad about it because he has lost happiness. But jnani understands that it is only a mirror that has been taken away. The original ananda that is always there. If not this mirror, some other mirror will come along. Okay. So whenever a jiva is happy, jnani or ajnani, the jiva is in anandamaya kosha. This is the message in this shloka. Continuing verse 58. Anandamaya koshasya shushupto spurtirutkata swapna jagarayorishat ishtas darshananadina. So ishta sandarshanadina. So how does jiva experience this anandamaya kosha and consequent happiness? How does it happen? Anandamaya koshasya shujupto spurti utkata. Utkata means, more dominant. Spurti means manifestation. So the manifestation of Anandamaya Kosha is very dominant in deep sleep. Because in deep sleep alone, the mind is resolved for a length of time. Therefore, at that time, there is no duality, there is no individuality, there is no ragadvesha, no kamakroda, no other vritti arises. I am in Advaita Avastha. Therefore, the experience of Ananda is very dominant in deep sleep. Okay. And Swapna Jagarayoho Ishat. Ishat, partial, briefly. So in the dream state and in the waking state, in these two states, it is partial. Manifestation. So manifestation of Anandamaya is partial in dream state and in waking state because it is Ishta Sandarshana Nadina. Ishta Sandarshanadina. Sandarshana. Brought about by seeing, darshana. Brought about seeing, etc. Adi, Adina. Of what? Of desired objects. So, Adi, etc. means what? Seeing, possessing, experiencing, included. So that is brought about by all these three of the desired objects. So when these desired objects are seen, possessed, or experienced, you get the three vrittis. When the desired object, is seen, priya vritti, happy, possessing moda vritti, happier, experiencing pramoda vritti, even more happy, happiest. And all these are only for a brief period of time. Whereas in deep sleep state, it is uninterrupted for a longer period of time. Now, is it possible that Anandamaya can be me, the Atma? Verse 59. नैवायमानन्दमय परात्मा सोपाधिकत्वात् प्रकृतेर्विकारात् कार्यत्वहेतो सुकृतिक्रियायाः विकारसङ्घातसमाहितत्वात् अयम् आनन्दमयः परात्मा न एव. This Anandamaya cannot be Paramatma. Paratma means Paramatma, the limitless self. It cannot be. And what is the reason? Acharya gives several reasons. First, so padikatvat. Sa upadikatvat. Upadika. Upadi means condition. Upadika means conditional. What is the condition? A particular vritti of the mind is the upadi for Anandamaya. Particular vritti. In the mind, a particular condition has to arise, which is capable of reflecting Ananda. Only then that vritti is Ananda. Anandamaya. That vritti has to arise. So, Anandamaya is depending on that condition. Atma has no condition for its existence. It exists by itself. So, Atma is not Anandamaya. First. Second reason, prakriter vikarat, due to it being a modification of prakriti. So Anandamaya kosha is in the form of three vrittis, Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Vritti is a product of Karana Sharim. And Karana Sharim itself, that is called prakriti. It is inert. So these three vrittis are products of the inert Karana Shariram. It is a modification of Prakriti, whereas Atma is neither a modification nor is it inert. So Atma is not Anandamaya, which is Prakriti Vikara. Okay. Third reason, Karyatva Heto Sukrita Kriyayaha. Sukrita Kriyayaha. Karyatva Heto. So, Heto means here product. So, on account of being a product of Sukrita, Punya karmas, good deeds. So, on account of all these Punya karmas. So, it is a product of Purva Janma Punyam, all that. We saw that. But Atma is not a product. Hence, Atma is not Anandamaya. Okay, reason 4. Vikara Sangata Samahitatvat. Samahitatvat. Samahita. Constituted of. Of what? Vikara Sangata. Group of modification. So it's a modification of Karana Shariram. Group of three vrittis. It is an assemblage. It is an assemblage. Vikara Sangata Samahitatvat. It is born out of an assemblage of modifications of the three vrittis, Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Atma not born of any assemblage. So Atma is not Anandamaya. In this way, the Acharya explains the reason why Anandamaya cannot be Atma. With this, the Acharya has explained each kosha and given the reason why you should not take it as being your true self, Atma. And he formally concludes this discussion in the next verse, verse 60. Panchanapi koshanam nishede yuktita shrutehe तन्निषेधावधि साक्षी बोधरूपोऽवशिष्यते. See, when I, Vedantic student, inquiring into the 5 layers of personality, I see that they are all koshas, coverings. I understand the significance of the word kosha, understand what it means, and I understand that I am not any one of them, any one of these layers. Because I regard then all these layers as, each layer is just a clothing, which I put on, throw, and put on a new one. That's all they are. So, panchanapi yuktitaha koshanam nishidde. Nishidde, negation, koshanam. So, even when the negation of the 5 koshas is done, yuktitaha means by logical inquiry. Logical inquiry, shrutehe, based on shruti. So, when this inquiry is done with the help of both logic and the shruti, the Veda, Vedanta, therefore, we can say, shruti is like the mirror. Shruti is like the mirror, and logic is like the eyes. So, with the help of both mirror and the eyes, I can see my face. With the help of logic and shruti, I negate each one of the 5 koshas. And when I do that, I do it to see my true self. The negation has to be done at every level because error has been committed at every level. So what happens? Tannisheda avadihi bodha rupa sakshi avashishyate. Tannisheda avadihi, as a culmination of their negation. When the 5 koshas are negated, what remains at the end of this negation? Bodha rupa sakshi avashishyate. Sakshi, witness in the form of knowledge remains. Bodha, knowledge. Witness in the form of knowledge remains. So when the 5 koshas are negated, witness in the form of knowledge remains as a culmination of their negation. And each of the 5 koshas we saw negated by doing Viveka at every level. And so there is no physical removal of anything. There is no physical removal. Negation does not mean, the covers are removed one by one and suddenly at the end we see Atma sitting there. No. Atma is not inside these 5 koshas. No. Atma is everywhere. Atma pervades every one of these layers. Atma is the witness. So, when the 5 koshas are negated, what remains? Only the witness of this. The witness which cannot be negated, non-negatable. That witness is I myself. That witness is I, who has no perceptible form, but only the form of bodha, knowledge. I am that Sakshi which alone remains after negating all the 5 layers. The witness consciousness alone remains, who is the culmination of the negation. So let us stop now and recap what we have seen today. So this Paramatma cannot be Vijnanamaya for a number of reasons. Vijnanamaya changes all the time. And I am the witness of these changes. Hence, I cannot be Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya is inert in nature, whereas Atma is self-effulgent. Atma lends sentiency to Vijnanamaya. It lends. So I am not that. Vijnanamaya is spatially limited. Atma is limitless. Vijnanamaya is an object of perception. Atma is not. Vijnanamaya is subject to arrival, departure. Atma ever present. And Vijnanamaya ends at the time of Pralaya. Atma is eternal. Okay, and next we saw Anandamaya Kosha. Modification of Tamas has attributes of 3 vrittis, Priyamoda, Pramoda. And it rises when I see, possess, or experience a desired object. It is pervaded by the reflected Ananda of Atma. Due to this, I experience varying degrees of happiness. It shines when Punya arises. When Punya arises without any effort, the Jiva becomes that very Ananda itself and rejoices. And Anandamaya is dominant in deep sleep. partially dominant in waking and dream states. In these two states, waking and dream, it is brought about by experiencing the desired objects. Anandamaya cannot be Atma because of a number of reasons. First of all, that Ananda is only conditional. And Anandamaya is a modification of Prakriti and it's inert. Atma is not a modification, nor is it inert. Then Anandamaya is a product of good deeds. Atma is not a product. Anandamaya is an assemblage of modification. Atma is not. For these reasons, Anandamaya is not Atma. And to sum up, the negation of the five koshas is completed by the logical inquiry with the help of Shruti. Then what remains is the Sakshi, the witness. And that Sakshi has no visible form. It is in the form of knowledge. That alone remains. So we have seen 2 points on the nature of Atma so far. One is Atma is of the nature of consciousness. Now we saw Atma is the nature of Ananda. Now there are 2 other points to see, which we will see in the next few sessions. Hari Om.
Hari Om Ganesh, Hari Om. Very interesting to see how we cross the intelligent layer. That's the last time we discussed about it. It's really interesting to see. I'll go around. Start with Sampaji. Sampaji, thoughts from you, Sampaji?
I think the important point which Ganesh ji mentioned is that it's not that something you keep on removing and then you find something inside, right? I think that is the crux of it, because the presence of that Atma across all the layers is, I think, what we need to probably contemplate and understand. Because most of the time, since we are used to always object-based understanding, so everything we see is an object. So we try to relate that as, remove the physical form, then remove the, thoughts and remove everything. And then finally something is sitting inside, which is our true nature. But the key, I think, important understanding is what he said, that it's that presence of that Atman is across all the layers. So once we get that knowledge and understanding that it's present in all the layers, that's where I think some sort of change will start coming in the way we look at everything. And actually, I was just doing mananam of this over the weekend. I was listening to some lectures from Tejo Mayananda and everything, and I felt that understanding this sheets, it's good for our mind, intellect, because we are curious to accumulate that knowledge, understand and more and more. I thought when you want to transcend beyond this understanding and don't go into too much of intellectual, analysis, paralysis, is just surrender. If you just surrender with faith to that presence, then you get out of all this intellectual understanding. It's just a sort of only information that we want to know. What is, Manomaya Kosha, what is Anandamaya Kosha, what is Vijnanamaya Kosha, what is this Annamaya Kosha, all those things just for a knowledge accumulation. But if you go beyond all of that, just surrender. Once you surrender to that presence and that divine grace, is just, cuts across everything. Like Vaidiji last time asked that, how do I keep remembering that is there? I think every aspect of what we are doing, if that surrender bhavam is there, the feeling, I think it's most of a feeling. If surrender bhavam is there, then all this knowledge is just for us to understand that this is how it is. It will cut across everything. For me, I thought that surrender will just supersede everything.
Yeah.
Yes, Sampaji, yes. Of course, very much important because God's grace is what drives everything. So surrendering means surrendering to that higher power and obtaining the grace of Ishvara. Very important. Yes.
I think most of the time in our surrender, we have a doubt of faith. We don't have that unconditional faith to surrender. we always have a little bit of doubt and condition on the surrender, right? So the unconditional surrender is which I think we need to keep developing that, deepening the faith.
Yeah, just one point, Sampaji, you mentioned perfectly, right? This, analysis paralysis happens the more and more we go through this. But then, I was just listening to, I remember a few months back, I listened to this. It just reminded me, we have a proper, path to this whole Vedanta, right? We start with Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, and then Mumukshutvam, right? Now we are in Viveka. Right? We are just trying to, understand what is Atma and what is Anatma. We are just trying to understand that Viveka there. Then we go and we have to do that Vairagya. We have to leave all those Anatma things and hold on to that Atma. And that is the real practice. That is the right way to do. And if you don't know what is Anatma, what is Atma, you come back to Viveka. Then once you hold your, Atma and drop off your Anatma, then you go to the Shat Sampatti. And if Shat Sampatti you have a problem, then you come back to Vairagya. Right? And if you have a problem in Vairagya, you come back. And then you go forward in Mumukshutvam. And if you have a problem in Mumukshutvam, come back to Shat Sampatti, have a problem in Shat Sampatti, come back. That is how the steps are. So it's a long process. To me, yeah, surrender is a very easy, straightforward, that needs Shraddha. It's one of the Shat Sampatti, but it needs Shraddha. But I think the right way to do is do it slowly, have that faith, but do it slowly. And then probably the next step should be to more dwell on how to do Vairagya, right? How do I hold to that Atma that I have learned so far and drop off everything? So I know I am the experiencer. How do I hold that and drop off everything and not getting impacted by the worldly things, So
See, the
that's
challenge, Natarajji, is that the thin line to move from one level to another level, because each of this topic has ocean of knowledge.
right. Yeah,
It's limitless, right? And our human nature is that when you know about something, you want to know about more. You want to know about more. You want to know about more. And that becomes that endless loop, right? For example, that's where the challenge. So how do you just draw the line and move to the next level? And we have limited time, right? time time is limited. Yeah. So somewhere you have to take a call and see that, because we are not 24 by 7 only focusing on this. Our
right.
focus in our entire day is probably few minutes or few hours. And what happens is, yes, it's so interesting that I want to know what is Samadhi, Sadga, Sampati, and go through all these 8 things. And if you start looking at one, the ocean of knowledge is limitless. And the problem is that every time when we get excited, each of the guru gives that explanation of a particular topic in a more interesting way. So
Yeah,
I
everything
listen
is
from this
believable.
person, it's really interesting. Now I listen from this next person, it's really
Very
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
And this is just, endless, you just keep on going again and again and again. This is where I think to draw a line and move to the next level is the biggest challenge. And time passes away. I will take a personal example to quote. We have been in satsang for 30 years, right? Starting from Bahrain in 1993 till now 2025. Almost every weekend is satsang week. In very few, probably weeks in their entire lifetime, we would have missed satsang. And not even sometimes in Bahrain, we had satsang all 5 days. Have we reached that level of maturity in this 30 years? If you ask me, honestly, no. Because it's in this loop of this level to next level, this level to next level. I totally agree with you, but we need to have that Vairagya, Viveka, understanding, know what is Anatma and what is Atma. We need somebody to guide that now go to the next level.
No,
Right?
I
sorry to
have,
interrupt.
yeah, go ahead, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Okay, Sampatji was telling that for 30 years he has been in this. Means if he had been a sannyasi, means he would have grown his beard up to the ground level, I believe. No, actually, for me, a guy like me, okay, always a confused guy. So what I was thinking is go into the technical thing, this jnana margam kind of thing, so that I can, decode it easily. Okay. So, but when you get into it, it's more confusing. So, like Sampathji said, it's better to be in the Bhakti Marga, better to do the surrender. Do the surrender, do Bhakti. So it's much easier, much understandable because for my intelligence, is the best thing.
Sorry, I just want to add a couple of things. One is there's no difference between jnana and bhakti. To me, both are intertwined. Okay. If you need jnana, you need bhakti, and bhakti without jnana, jnana without bhakti will not work. It's very as simple as that. See, take a simple example. Those who are preaching this jnana marga, those who are supposed to are preaching this jnana marga, take anybody, okay? Swami Dayanand Saraswati, staunch Advaita Vedanta. Vivekananda, staunch Advaita Vedanta. Anybody, Swami Chinmayananda, staunch Advaita Vedanti. Go to their ashrams. You will see every day morning Abhishekam being done. Why they are doing bhakti? Right? You need to have both intertwined. So you can't say this is separate and that is separate. There are no two margas. It is intertwined. That's point number one. Two, second point. Sampaji, I agree that you're right. 30 years of satsang, yes. But what I feel is you will, no, this is my experience. Over a period of time, right? I've been in this for the last 6, 7 years, maybe. Over a period of time, you get a little bit of clarity on what is Atma and what is Anatma. It might not be 100% correct. You might get a clarity of 50%, 60%. You start working with it. Okay, I know these are definitely Anatma. So probably I know my body is Anatma. Okay, maybe then what I then start doing is I start, okay, ignoring things that are important to body, but or unimportant to me, which means I will take important to Atma and and then I'll ignore my body. So for example, I will slowly move into sattvic food, which gives me a peace of mind. I will slowly, move into practices that I do. So that way I will ignore one of these, one of the anatma. So this practice automatically will come into us. So this is where the growth, I mean, I know it takes time, but then this is where you will see a progress because you know that you are not this body. You are not this mind. So if there is some external event that comes and hits you, you know you are not this mind. You will go through a process of, a bad event will pull you down, definitely will pull you down. But how soon we can get back to the normalcy for somebody who knows Atma and Anatma Viveka, it could be much faster than somebody who doesn't know, because it might take a longer time for coming to a normalcy, whereas for somebody who's in the, some kind of this knowledge will come back. Maybe he will come back within 2, 3 days, others might take 2, 3 months. So that is where the growth happens, and slowly this change we will notice. Okay, there will be some issues. How quickly we bounce back, right? So I know, when I see my body is healthy. If I take a quick, in a cricket, I take a quick run, quick double, another 20 seconds later, I take another quick double. I can say my body is good because I'm able to run fast, quickly get my breath back. Same way, mentally, I have to quickly get my breath, my mental strength back to the normal. And these are the kind of small steps that you will see a change. I might have get impacted 10 years back if this event happened. Today, for the same event, I react a bit differently. Okay, so what next? I react that way. Why? Because I know my mind will be pushing me here and there. I'm not going to get pushed out. I'm just going to hold tight. Unchanging Atma, I'm going to hold. I watch my mind, then my mind will become calm. So these are the things that we will see slowly. And my second point is why we are to listen to this regularly every now and then is because we will forget. Our mind is, we will go into that circle. Always when something happens, we'll go into that circle. My mother tell me this. My mother always tells me, I listen to Bhagavatam, I listen to this katha, that. I ask her, this is the 200th time you are listening to Bhagavatam. Will you not get bored? She'll say, there are so many values, stories. I have to keep on reminding myself about all these things. And that is why they listen. Ramayanam, how many times we listen? We are all, really learning something, right? So we need to listen more and more and more every day. And every day, a few things, again, we listen. Okay, I missed out this. That is right. That Guruji has said. Maybe, I missed it out. Oh, I remember this 3 years back. I missed it out. Now I listen. I think we need to have that, somebody beating you. So we have to develop that, habit. I think all the practices, what we are doing is good. But that realization that it's not going to be an easy step. Bhakti helps. Definitely things that we do, like puja, the meditation, the prayers, everything helps. It helps to take you from one level to the next level. Definitely, because it gives you that calmness in the mind. It tells you that, yes, there is God there, you are reaching there. Yeah, it gives you in that right path. But then, we have to keep on doing it, unfortunately. It's been long, sorry.
No, you are absolutely right. I think we need to keep on
Yeah,
to be in this path. I think I never say we should not be getting out of it. We should be in this. We should do all this. I think at some point there should be a switch from an intellectual understanding to a surrender mode.
correct.
I think this has to go in parallel also, as you said. We
Yeah,
need to get
yeah,
into that surrender mode.
yeah,
Because as you said, more and more we keep listening to this, the surrender mode faith also will get deepened. Because when you surrender, as I said, we have an iota of doubt in the surrender. It's not that we unconditionally surrender like Mirabai or,
yeah.
Prahlad or, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have that doubt of faith, but we have to somewhere switch to that surrender mode in
Maybe
addition to this
maybe
intellectual
there is a breaking
understanding.
point or something that happens in life that takes us to the next level. Maybe, I don't know. Because like if you
Yeah,
see many saints, it has happened. One breaking point, something happens in the life, they go to the next level. Then the frequency of all these discussions, or listening to all these things, or doing prayers, everything, we spend more time on that instead of limited time once in a week, or we spend more time on that, those things. Maybe that breaking point should happen. Some event or something should happen. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I feel.
yeah, there will be, yeah, some breaking point that will happen. That is true. Yeah, some event, there will be a cornerstone. They call the cornerstone, right? That will happen where you turn around, and there will be one particular event that will be a cornerstone. Yeah, definitely, that definitely happens. Yeah, there will be. We are waiting for the cornerstones of our
That's
life.
called,
So many
that is
events
called
in
the
life
grace.
take place.
Yeah,
That's called
yeah.
the grace.
Atimber, you've been waiting patiently, listening to our chatter.
I have not been waiting. I only because no, really, Sampath and Nataraj, you have been going deeper into it, and of course, I am not here. I don't think I'll be able to talk more as you could do that. Nothing like that. But then, see, the thing is, we are made of the Panchabhutas. These are the Panchendriya, this Panchabhuta, or whatever it is, the five senses we have. The sixth sense is the pranayama. So I believe in only one thing. I enjoyed that. That is the connecting the this one with the Atma with the Paramatma is only one time it is possible. That too when you are able to do the meditation very deeply. Very deeply, I tell you, because you cross all the five layers of your Panchabhutas, which I have experienced. I am not in that. It is there every time you are having it. No, only at that time. Why I am telling this is, I was just last week with Mahashivratri we had that Guruji was telling, Jagi Vasudevji, he was telling, the meditation say, he was telling, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So he Namah Shivaya, and then he did not finish it. And then again he started Om Namah Shivaya. See, that is only you are just having it connected. But I think we'll be crossing the time if I start talking on this more. But in meditation class, probably we can have it. But what I do is, and I have experience, probably you can also do it, but it cannot, it's not just It's more or less a Brahma Mantram, like it, you know, you will not be able to immediately assimilate it or digest it or grasp it, so to say. I have it like this, you know, Om Namah Shivaya Namaha. I'm a Vaishnavite. I'm not, if my father says, you know, what is this you are telling Namah Shivaya? Okay. That it has got that it is the connectivity. Actually, the pranamaya is there, no? That is only a cosmic order. If you go by the translation of that cosmic pranamaya, it is only a cosmic order. That is, you are connecting with the super consciousness, your consciousness. What we are in day to day, whatever. See, I am a very happy being in this satsang. It is only by virtue of my hearing as well as by seeing. I see Natarajanji, I see Ganesh, I am hearing it. So these are all satiating the desires of one of each of the Buddhas, Pancha Buddhas. Supposing I have a doop stick here, that also gives a good smell, that also will go. So I have that. But in that, this meditation life, when you go deep into it, I have seen a person, I'm telling you by name Narayana Iyengar, one person was there in Triplicate. He used to go into meditation. You cannot get him out of that meditation. He finds himself very difficult to come out of it. We used to beat him with stick to make him come out of it because he had his mother who was very sick. So we all used to learn meditation with him. So if you go and connect with that, the rhythm will be there, no? That pranamaya, that breathing cycle will not allow you to come out of it. Just like, you know, when anything, when roll or something like that, if you put it in a cycle, if you turn it, it will be the same place. Though the cycle is, that wheel is moving from one point to the other, from the fulcrum to the circumference, the spokes will be going down and coming up. But the thing or rubber or something like that, which you have put in between that rod, it will be staying the center. It will not be moving here and there as the wheel moves. This is apparently does that, but then that kind of a connectivity you get it, and it is only a spark. It is not always, you cannot have 24 hours, you cannot have the connectivity done. If that connectivity is there, you are not a human being.
Yeah.
So it is only a thing which is, it can be experienced. It is a shanam, only for some seconds, fraction of some second, you can enjoy that connectivity. For that only we are doing all these prayathanas, bhakti yoga, this yoga, all these things we are doing. We are trying to have that connectivity. Ultimately, they say the samadhi nala, what will you get? When the Atma and Paramatma connect with each other, either that is by way of death or by way of we are conquering the subconscious level. But anyway, we had enough of it on a Friday night. I don't know. See, 7 days of office work, they are giving us 2 days holiday, Saturday and Sunday. But Friday night, we are loading our brain with so much of things. I don't know whether these 2 days are sufficient as a holiday for all of us. I don't want to continue more on this, but I suggest people go on meditation. Probably you will come across, you will conquer all these Panchabhuta blockage, what Sampaji was telling, you know, we go up and down, we go up and down. So from one bhuta, another bhuta, it keeps changing. We feel we are not satisfied. We are definitely satisfied. Anyway, I think we have crossed that time enough, and we are loaded with so much of knowledge and bhakti yoga. Let us go with that. Tomorrow, Bhagavatam, we will know more about it, and then we will go into bhakti yoga then. I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse it, but then this is a very, very, very difficult state when you reach that beyond that level at the samadhi level. It's very difficult to explain. It can only be experienced, and it cannot be experienced permanently, nor it can be experienced for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. No, it is only for a spark of time you can experience it. That is the real bliss. That if you get it, nothing like that. That's the real boon a human being can get it. Thank you.
And the samadhi.
Yeah, Ramakrishna
Still you
Paramahansa.
will be alive.
Samadhi,
Samadhi,
like,
you don't die there. Samadhi is, again you come back, but you may not be able to explain that bliss which you had. And see, in the Daffodils poem, if you know, Wordsworth puts it so very beautifully. Now he says, he was traveling in a train the flowers, the daffodils will be flying. So he says, after watching all these things for quite a long distance, he says, I gaze, but little thought what wealth to me the show has brought. It was a beautiful sight, but it did not bring me any wealth. I was not carrying anything in my bowl. What wealth to me show has brought? For oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. That bliss of solitude, you will have to be alone. You will have to be put off all the lights. It should be dark. If you go to the outer space, there is no light. Though we see sun, as you cross the Earth's atmosphere, I mean the stratosphere, it is dark. Only by reflections you are able to see. So like that, he says, this is the bliss of solitude. I sit in meditation, solitude, I see that light. That Atma, Paramatma is connecting with my Atma. That is only in meditation. Which Wordsworth says in English poem, we have got it in all our Vedantas, we are also having. Namaste. Jai Shri.
Thank you, Atimber. Amrita ji and Surya and Kannan ji, any thoughts to close out?
I think we are overstepping our time limit, Rajan ji. But very deep and thoughtful session, Ganeshi. Thank you very much. In my limited capacity of understanding, I just have this, I don't know if it is a doubt. So the nature of the Atma is happiness, Ananda. And we are only reflecting the nature of the Atma. So happiness is a state of the mind. Is it right? If my understanding is right? Happiness is a state of the mind. Yes?
Correct.
Yes, very much, Amritaji.
Very much.
Then what about sorrow?
Sorrow is a state of mind.
Sorrow is the interval between two happiness.
That is explanation.
No, you can say other way around also. Happiness is between two
sorrow and
towers.
happiness are relative terms. What is sorrow for you, maybe? What is a medicine for me, may be a poison for the other person. So it's sorrow, and if you go in the Vedanta, deep Vedanta, sorrow, sukham, dukkam, all these things are relative things. What is good for you may not be good to me. So it is subjective, sorrow or bliss or good or bad or beautiful or whatever it is. That is where the Vedanta comes. That is where this Anubhuti comes. Atma Anubhuti. Atma Anubhuti is connecting with the Paramatma. That is only a Kshanabhuti. So what you say is Santosham is also bliss. Dukkam also is dukh. Somebody is very happy.
But from where are we reflecting that sorrow? Because Atma's nature is Ananda, then why do we have sorrow?
If you see, the Atma is everywhere. Vasanat Vasudevasya Vasudeva Jagatriyam Sarvabhuta Nivasosi Vasudeva Namosati. That Atma is there in all the body. So some people, their Atma, they enjoys when Raman suffers. Some Atma really suffers when Raman suffers. But it is not, it is only subjective. Raman, you have only called it. Sukham, you are telling it is Sukham. It may not be Sukham. If you go and ask a sannyasi, it is not Sukham. Grihastha ashram is not a Sukham for him. But for a family man, it is a Sukham. So it's a relative term. Kindly don't mix Sukham or Dukkam as that is Bhakti or something like that. No. Bhakti is to get connectivity with the God. That's all. Bhakti is not to get a Sukham or Dukkam. I don't pray for my enemies, this one. Defeat in the fight. That is not the real Bhakti. I pray for God for me to do something good. That's all. That doesn't mean I'm praying for my enemies bad things. No, we are not doing it. That
okay, topic for Mananam, next week's Mananam, okay?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, definitely, yes.
Sorry, it's a relative.
Right. I hope, Amritaji, your doubt is more or less cleared.
No, Ganesh, when we can, we won't actually, we have to, like, when you accept the nature of the Atma is happiness, then why do we express sorrow? And happiness we forget, but sorrow stays with us for a long time. Why is that?
Atma is not touched by any of these feelings, please. It is beyond all the feelings. Atma is away from all these things. Panchabhuta give all these things. Sukha Dukkham are only for the Panchabhutas, not for the Atma.
Right, as Sampathi said, it's something for Mananam now.
Yeah, Mananam. Yeah.
Let's do
Okay.
Maranam and start next week again.
Yeah, let's talk
See you.
about that.
Sorry, I'm very sorry. I'm taking a lot of time.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्य परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीचाः को ब्राह्मणेषु सोमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु इन्दिरारमण गोविन्द गोविन्द
Hari Om all. I think tomorrow the session will be cancelled most likely because a lot of people are traveling. I will send out a message. Tomorrow I think the session is getting cancelled. I'll send out a message.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Kandanji, Hari Om.
Hari Om Satsangis.